Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Perspectives Japan Summer 2023 pre-departure info session. We're going to talk a little bit about what you need to prepare for the trip today and hopefully get you ready for that trip to get started pretty soon. We're all looking forward to it. So I am Gabriel Rebeck. I am based in the Laurasian Seattle office. And many of you have been communicating with my colleague Samantha Corpus, also in the Seattle office. And in Japan, we will also be joined by Stacy Hughes, who is based in California, but also works for Laurasian. And we'll be helping you out with your tours while you're here in Japan. But in addition to them, I'm actually currently in the Laurasian Tokyo office in Japan, joined by the amazing Laurasian Tokyo staff. Staff? Thank you very much, everybody. We are all looking forward to welcoming you to Japan so we can get this tour started and have a good time with you here. So why don't we go ahead and get started talking about some of the details of the tour. And hopefully this will answer most of the questions that you have right now. Of course, you can always contact us if you have anything else that you'd like to talk about outside of this info session. So hopefully everybody's aware of the dates. We've got Tour 1 and Tour 2. Tour 1 starts June 8th. Tour 2 starts June 29th. Tour 1, gosh, that's right around the corner. It's coming right up. So hopefully everybody's ready for that. Where are we going to stay? So for the first section, we're in Tokyo. We will be at the National Olympic Memorial Youth Center, or we call it the Olympic Center, or even just Orisen for short. This was part of the Olympics many years ago, but they had Olympic athletes staying there. Now they've opened it up for kind of a youth hostel kind of thing for people that come on study trips exactly like this. One thing to keep in mind is that there's basically no internet that we can use there. There's no Wi-Fi. It's definitely sort of it's not a luxury hotel, but it's going to be perfect for our purposes right there when we're staying in Tokyo. After Tokyo, you will be staying at homestay families in the host communities based at our host schools. And that's going to be anywhere around Japan. Talk to your lead teacher as we get those details set for each school. We're sharing them with the lead teachers. And so if you want to know where you're going to be, please talk to the lead teacher. Then for the last part, where we're in Kyoto, we will be at the Kyoto Miyako Hotel Hachijo. That's right next to Kyoto Station, which is a big, beautiful station. It's going to be a nice place to be. And that one, we will have Wi-Fi there. So that one's a little bit more convenient in that regard. Please feel free to click the links if you want to get a little bit more information about either of those locations. By the way, this presentation will be made available via PDF. I think you can download it down in the description below. So please take a look if you'd like to get that. So what are we going to be doing? This is information that we've talked about before, but I just wanted to kind of put this all together in one convenient place here. So forgive me if this is something that you're already aware of, but yeah, that's how this whole session is going to be. So first of all, day one, you will depart from the United States. Each school group is going to be responsible for getting to the airport by themselves. Whether the school group wants to go together by a bus or just have everybody meet together at that airport, that's going to be between you, that meaning the students and the lead teacher. So please communicate about getting to your departure airport on the departure day. Day two, you land in Tokyo. So it's roughly, depending on where you're leaving from, it's about a 12-hour flight. Plus we lose about a half a day in addition to that in the travel, just because of the time zone. Therefore, yeah, day two is when you actually arrive. Day 3 and 4, and that's in Tokyo, by the way. Day 3 and 4 will be exploring Tokyo, walking around, and that's the sort of personalized itinerary that each lead teacher has established with us recently. You'll be seeing various kind of sightseeing and other sort of important study day tour package content during that time. Day 5, you depart for the host schools. That's when each school group will go to the host community where they're going to be for the next week. Please keep in mind that at this point, you'll be traveling either by bullet train, airplane, depending on where the group's going, where it's going to be. You'll be going via a different mode of transportation. But everybody is going to have their big suitcase transported to the host community via the Japan Postal Service. So we'll talk a little bit about packing, but you'll need to prepare for that accordingly. The next week is going to be at the host school doing homestays. That's where you get to be in a real Japanese family's home and sort of experiencing Japanese life. That's a really great time. Day 12 is when everybody will meet back in Kyoto again, or not again, but rather for the first time you'll be seeing Kyoto, and then exploring that for day 13 and 14, be seeing some temples and shrines and stuff, and learning quite a bit about that very historical city. Day 15, everybody returns. So first of all, we're going to take everyone from Kyoto to Tokyo, Haneda Airport, and then everybody will fly back to the United States from Haneda Airport. And that'll be a Shinkansen bullet train ride. So that's kind of fun too on that final day. That's the basic itinerary. But how do we prepare? That's the big question. Preparing for this trip. As everybody knows, we are in a not a post-COVID world, but it's kind of, we're doing what we need to do to get along with this. So one of the things that we will ask everybody to do is to take a COVID rapid test before they leave. So that could be, I don't know, let's for example, just at the pharmacy where you can get, regular over-the-counter COVID tests, not a PCR test that you do at a hospital or anything like that, but just the simple tests that we've all done 100 times now. Take one of those tests and make sure that you are testing negative before you leave. Please do that within a day prior to departure. If you test positive, please let us know immediately. If you test negative, that's fine. No need to tell anybody. We'll just assume that everybody's going to test negative. So if you test positive, let us know. Most of those rapid tests come in a pack of 2. So what we're going to ask you to do is take one test before you leave for Japan, and then take the other test and bring it with you. We're going to do that before we go into the homestays. So again, I've kind of mentioned this quite a bit, especially to the lead teachers. A lot of the families are concerned. They want to make sure that everybody's health and safety is being looked after to the best of our ability. That's why we've agreed to have everybody take these just a real quick, easy, rapid test before they move into the homestay portion of this tour. So we thank you for your understanding of that kind of necessity that we have for the tour this year. So please bring your COVID kit. The little one-time, so you did one before you left, and then you'll do one more while you're in Japan. Please bring some masks. That is Japan in 2023. People are still wearing masks. Most places. I think it's gonna be up to the host school how much we should be wearing masks when we're at the host schools. So please just be prepared to put them on. Please be prepared to have them on quite a bit. If we get here and we find out that it's actually okay to take them off, it'll always be okay to take them off. But we'll just kind of have to play that by ear a little bit and make sure that everybody is feeling safe and comfortable. That's our main concern. Please bring that travel insurance information. So we asked you to fill out some simple information and send it to us. We would like you to also have a copy of that with you, just in case it's necessary to maybe show at a hospital if something were to happen. And that's just an emergency situation. Probably you won't need it, but please carry your just kind of simple information about the traveler's insurance that you have covering you while you're on this trip. Finally, please bring the vaccine card. And so as everybody knows, we are still requiring 3 doses of the vaccine in order to join the program. And that even though it's no longer required by the Japanese government to enter the country, it's something that we agreed with our host schools. The one additional note on that is that recently it seems like there is some flexibility versus 3 doses or 2 doses. So if you have the recent vaccines that protect against various variants, you should be okay with only 2 doses. That's the most recent guidance from the CDC. That's what we're following. If you don't have 3 doses, but you have 2, we can probably ask the school to understand that that's the most recent guidance, and therefore that's what we're following. So anybody with only 2, that should be okay. There's a small chance that some of the schools might get a little bit upset about that, but I think we can make it okay. So if you've got 2 doses, I think that should be sufficient at this point. Okay, and then in addition to that, there is no longer a need to submit the vaccine cards to the Japanese government before you enter the country. However, they are still using this Visit Japan web, which you can see the link on the bottom of the screen there, in order to register before you enter the country. And that is not for vaccines or quarantine or anything like that. It is for customs and immigrations claims. What does that mean? Let's take a look at the next screen. So before you leave for Japan, we will ask you to go to this website. You can follow the link right there. and you sign up for a new account. Put in your email address, set a password, and then you can log in and start working on the system. This makes it so that when we arrive in Japan, you will have a little QR code that you can show at the immigrations and the customs counters that'll make us all go through very quickly. We are requiring everybody to do this in advance. There is an option to fill out a paper card, but when we're sitting there in the immigration line at the airport, it's going to be, well, depending on what time we arrive, a lot of people in line getting into Japan. If we have these QR codes all ready to go, then that's going to make it much, much faster for all of us. So thank you for cooperating with this Visit Japan web registration before we get there. There's also an option on there for a tax-free QR code if you'd like to get that. It's not necessary. It just makes it so that you can buy things tax-free. You can usually show a passport and get that tax-free. They'll sell it to you tax-free. But the QR code is another way to do it. If you would like to do that through the system, please feel free. We're not requiring it. I don't necessarily recommend it. It will ask about a visa. People entering Japan on a US passport do not need a visa. You will be given a tourist visa upon arrival. So just click that it's unnecessary, and you'll be okay. We have a few people that are coming with us without US passports, and we'll speak with you directly about exactly how you'll handle that. So once you log into the system, it'll ask for details. It'll ask you to come up with a little name for your trip. It'll ask you for your name, your passport number, your date of birth, et cetera, et cetera. And then it'll start asking about the exact trip. One of the things you need is the arrival dates. So please bear in mind that your arrival date is 1 day after you depart from the United States. So for tour 1, that's June 9th. And then for tour 2, that's June 30th. Those are just 1 day after we actually depart from the United States. Continuing on, there's a couple of different things that you'll see in the system while you're registering. Please just kind of go through the process. The other things that I need to let you know exactly what to do are registering the address where you will stay in Japan. It's the address that you can see on the screen right there. Oh, I think it might be covered up a little bit by my video, hopefully not. But either way, if you enter in the postal code first, that 1510052, that's not a phone number, that's the postal code, it will come up with the Shibuya-ku, Tokyo To by itself. It'll know that that's the area that we're looking at. The only thing that you'll have to copy and paste into the address box is that 3-1, Yoyogi Kamizono-cho. So yeah, just copy and paste that in there. It is actually the National Olympics Memorial Youth Center that I mentioned earlier. You only need to register one address that we're going to be at in Japan, and it's that one right there. So go ahead and please enter that address for where you'll be. And then you can enter this phone number, the 03-3712-6176. That is the phone number for the Laurasian Tokyo office. And so, yeah, we can actually take any calls that are meant for any of the students while you're in Japan here at the office. Once you finish the immigrations and the customs declarations, you should get QR codes. If you're not seeing the QR code, something's not quite finished yet. So please keep working on that. Maybe talk to your lead teacher if it's not working out for you. There is an FAQ on the website that should help you if you're confused about anything. It's going to take a little bit of time, and it's not necessarily the easiest system, bureaucracy at its finest. But it should be pretty straightforward. So please do your best putting all that information into the system. Thank you. So kind of moving towards the topic of packing and what you're going to actually bring with you, here is the climate of the Japanese summer. These are, I think, averages taken for June and July, not the exact, I mean, the long-term forecast at this point. But as you can see, it's going to be hot. To be honest with you, when I got these numbers, I thought, that looks a little bit low from what I'm used to. It's going to be hot and humid. And especially as you can see into July, the summer in Japan gets very rainy. It gets to be typhoon season by July. So please keep that in mind when you are preparing what clothes you will bring with you. Yeah, it's going to be hot and humid, so wear light clothes, and yeah, be prepared for a lot of rain. Be prepared for a lot of rain and hot weather. More specifically, the things that you're going to need to bring are, I know this goes without saying, but I got to mention it every time, the passport. Got to have your passport. And one of the big problems that we see on these tours is people losing passports. So if you want to have like a little safe handling pouch, like maybe a little pouch that you put around your stomach or something like that, that you'll just always keep that passport in, that might keep it safe. Or if you've got just a good pocket in your bag that you decide that's the place for the passport, that's another good way to go about it. Please, we don't want you to lose your passport. It could be very difficult if you lose your passport while you're traveling outside of the United States. So bring your passport, and you're going to be able to bring a large suitcase and then one carry-on. And that could either be like a duffel bag or a large backpack or a small suitcase that fits into an overhead bin. But basically what you're going to, and we'll talk a little bit more about luggage sizes in just a moment, but you're going to want to make sure that you can get a few days worth of clothing into that suitcase, and maybe like your toiletries, that kind of thing. If you've got certain shampoo or soap or deodorant, whatever you want to bring with you. Those need to all fit into that smaller case, because as I said earlier, what we're going to do when we move to the host communities is ship those bigger suitcases ahead of us. So for up to possibly a couple of days, you might just have that smaller bag. You'll need to make sure that you have everything that you need in that smaller bag. So like I said earlier, light clothes for hot, humid weather. If you also have like a little umbrella, like a fold out umbrella, that could be useful too. It's probably going to rain on us. Pack for hot, humid, rainy Japanese summer weather. Please also bring a thin bath towel for the Olympic Center. They do not provide bath towels there. And also what I'm going to recommend is make it a small old towel that you don't really need to use anymore, and you can just throw it away when you're done. If you bring a nice, big, luxurious, thick towel, the two problems are: one, it's not going to get dry, and two, it's going to take up extra space in your suitcase as a big wet towel, and that's no good for anybody. So what we recommend is something kind of like this. You can see, I don't know, it's pretty thin. It's not a big, thick bath towel. It's big enough that you can still dry yourself, but it's not going to take up too much space in the suitcase. And it's also going to be able to get dry for the days that we're in the Tokyo Olympic Center. Once we leave there, throw it out. There's going to be places to throw it out. That's my number one recommendation for how to get along at that Tokyo Olympic Center. The other thing, similarly, is you'll want to have a handkerchief to dry your hands. A lot of Japanese restrooms do not provide towels or even like a hand dryer. And so sometimes you'll just need to have a handkerchief in your back pocket, dry your hands off. So I recommend having a handkerchief. Bug spray. Japanese mosquitoes can be pretty vicious. So we definitely recommend that you bring some kind of a bug spray, but please make sure it is non-aerosol to carry it onto the airplane. Also sunblock, again, non-aerosol. It's going to be sunny. It's going to go back and forth between, very hot sunny days and hot rainy days. So make sure you're prepared for both of those. Shoes suitable for lots of walking. I definitely recommend that you've got shoes that you can walk around in. We're going to be walking a lot, so make sure your shoes are going to be okay for that. I also recommend that they be easily slipped on and off. You have to take your shoes off and put them back on quite a bit when you're walking around in Japan. In schools, there will be slippers provided that you can use while you're in the school, but you'll take those shoes off while you go into the schools and stuff like that. So make sure they're kind of easy to use. Finally, omiyage, or gifts, souvenirs, especially for your host family. This one can be, well, it's a big question sometimes. What's a good thing to buy? Something that represents your school, your hometown, or you individually. That's the best way to go. Mugs or something else that has like a logo of your school, like your school's sports team, or like a local sports team, something like that shows off your hometown. Snacks are really great. Food is kind of the number one thing that Japanese people like to give and receive as souvenirs. But I will tell you, do not bring chocolate. Chocolate is going to melt in that sun. By the time we get to the host community, chocolate will melt. But also jerky, like beef jerky, or for where I'm from in Seattle, salmon jerky, that kind of thing is a popular gift. Unfortunately, we cannot bring that in through customs. Any kind of meat is completely prohibited. Therefore, no chocolate, no meat, but any other kind of snacks like nuts or that kind of thing would be fine. Yeah, I think, again, whatever sort of represents you and your hometown, your family, that kind of thing would be best. So as for the baggage, as I was talking about earlier, the luggage rules are you can bring one checked bag and then one carry-on item. That carry-on is going to need to carry a couple of days worth of clothing when we leave for the host families. The bags must be under 50 pounds. If there are excess baggage fees, you will be responsible for paying them yourself. We cannot be responsible for that. So everybody, please just try to keep it under 50 pounds. It's 2 weeks and there will be an opportunity for laundry. So hopefully you can keep it under there. Bags, sorry for the typo there, must not exceed 62 inches. And that means in length, width, and height combined. Yeah, and that is Delta's baggage rules. That's not coming from us. That's the actual airline baggage rules that we have to follow. Yeah, as I mentioned about laundry, so probably the best opportunity to do laundry during the tour is going to be at your kind and generous host family's home. This is the kind of thing that don't expect it, but please be courteous and thankful if they offer to let you do your laundry with them at the house. Probably what they'll do is actually most Japanese homes are set up so that the washing machine is close to the shower or bath, and they'll probably allow you to just throw your clothes straight into the washing machine as you are going to take a bath or shower at the end of the night. And so that's probably going to be the best place to do it at the host family's home. But that's going to require good communication. Just make sure that you're able to communicate. Is it okay? Do you mind if I do this? Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, be polite, be polite. There will be laundromats around the hotel in Kyoto near the end. If you want to do some laundry at that point, if you've amassed some dirty clothes, clean it before you head off, that's probably a good idea too. Yeah, the Olympic Center, I believe there might be washing machines. It's going to be the first couple of days. I've heard bad things about them, and also the dryers don't really work either, so you'd have to hang dry anything at that point, which is pretty common in Japan, but just will not fit our schedule over in Tokyo, so please don't plan on doing it at the Olympic Center. As for the family, the homestay experience that I was just talking about, we will talk quite a bit more about this at the orientation when you arrive in Japan. But I know this is a topic that a lot of people are interested in. And so I do want to share a couple of ideas right now about how to get the most out of that homestay experience. You might be feeling nervous about it, but I promise you, so many of our NPJ students, when they go on these tours, before they start the tour, they say the homestay experience is the thing that they're most nervous about. And by the time that they're leaving, they say it was the best part of the tour. It was the best part of their experience. So don't be worried. Don't be nervous about it. Just jump in. Here's my advice for you. The homestays are gonna, be community members, school members. There might be other students attending the school that are in the host family. Maybe not. It's going to depend very much from school to school, family to family. But either way, no matter who you're staying with, they are going to treat you like a member of the family. They will be very hospitable. I know I'm saying every case is different, but in that case, I'm confident in saying they wouldn't volunteer for this opportunity if they didn't want to really take you in and enjoy the experience for what it can be worth. So I think, yeah, communicate with these host families. They'll be interesting people. It's a great opportunity for cultural and language immersion. This is really going to be much better than any of the time you spend in Tokyo or Kyoto or any sightseeing or anything like that, for an opportunity for learning about Japanese culture. What do they actually do every day? What do the parents do when they leave in the morning or come home at night? What are the kids like leaving for school in the morning? That kind of thing. So yeah, this is it's a really fun experience that you're just not going to get outside of programs such as this. So please treasure it. How do you make it go smoothly? Good question. Be flexible. You don't know what it's going to be like. You just got to go along with the flow. If you have legitimate problems, talk to your lead teacher. We can help you if there's actually some kind of a problem, but probably it's going to just be a nice experience if you can sort of accept what they recommend you do while you're there. Be flexible, be communicative, try to talk to them. A lot of them might have limited English, you might have limited Japanese. Gestures are your friend, Google Translate, that kind of thing. It's not going to be perfect, but trying to communicate, hey, is it okay for me to take some food out of the refrigerator? I'm hungry around 4 p.m. or whatever, something like that. Yeah, just being able to communicate that kind of thing will save going into situations where somebody gets surprised or has a tough time. be open-minded. They want you to have a good time. They wouldn't be inviting you into their home if they didn't want you to have a good time. Open-minded about everything, especially food. I think obviously if you've got allergies, we're not telling you to eat anything that's not good or not safe for you, but please try to eat whatever they give you. It's definitely part of the cultural experience to see what it is that they actually eat. It's going to be different from what you've seen in Japanese restaurants at home. I guarantee that. Have a sense of humor. It's I don't know, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to do silly things. They're going to do things that seem silly to you. That's okay. That's part of the experience, communicating and just having a fun time together. But that having been said, you also got to take responsibility for yourself. It's not all fun and games, I sound like an old man when I say that, but you got to be a courteous guest. You got to clean up after yourself. You got to help, offer to help with cleaning or dinner or that kind of thing. Just be a good representative of yourself and the United States when you are visiting the family. Try to speak as much Japanese as you can. Obviously, if you need to communicate something and you don't know how to say it, this is not a Japanese language test by any stretch of the imagination. Communication is the main important thing, but this is such a good chance to try to use your Japanese and soak up everything you can out of that experience. So what does the program fee cover? Pre-departure materials, all the airfare, airport transfers within Japan, accommodations, all that stuff. So the breakfast and dinner stipends will be given to you on study days. Host families are going to provide breakfasts and dinners during the homestay portion. All the transportation, for the most part, sightseeing is all covered. The Tokyo Sky Tree is actually a little bit more expensive, and so we ask for an additional amount on that. Talk about Ghibli in a second. All the other sort of activities, the homeschool or the school visit, and all that stuff, including the card that you'll need, the little IC card, which is the card that you beep when you're going in and out of train ticket gates, that kind of thing. That is all provided. Back to the note on Ghibli. I'm sorry, I have very unfortunate news for Tour 2. The Ghibli Museum has changed the way that they are selling tickets right now, and they're not taking any groups. They're not taking any large groups whatsoever. We're limited to 6 people that can be in a single group. They used to accept tour travel agencies to sort of make group bookings. They're not accepting any of that right now. And therefore, we've made the very, very unfortunate decision that we cannot take anybody to the Ghibli Museum on Tour 2. We'll be in touch with lead teachers about how we're going to sort of change that schedule up. I know this is really devastating to a lot of people. I love Miyazaki's films myself, and so I understand. I really get it. We did everything we could to try to figure something out. But for this size of tour right now, it's just not going to be possible this time around. So unfortunately, we're going to have to cut that from Tour 2, but we'll see what we can do. We'll definitely make another fun substitution for that. Watch for that news. We'll share that soon. What doesn't the fee cover? What am I going to need to expect to pay when I'm there? So transportation from the home to the US departure airport, whether that means everybody just taking a car to the airport or what, that's going to be each school's opportunity or responsibility to decide. Lunches, for the most part, that's going to need to be something that you'll pay for yourself, including if the school wants you to pay for some sort of a school lunch or something like that. It's less common, but it happens sometimes. Be prepared to have money for lunches for the whole tour. If you also want snacks, if you also want drinks, they've got those vending machines. They've got the convenience stores. Everybody wants to try the famichiki, that kind of thing. Those are the kinds of things that you'll need to cover yourself as well. During the homestay portion, any meals eaten outside of the home or sort of entertainment, transportation, activities, that kind of thing that you want to do, you will need to pay for that yourself. Sometimes the family might offer to pay for these kinds of things or insist that they pay for you. And if they really insist, that's totally fine. But again, as we were talking earlier about being a courteous guest, please expect to pay for yourself on these things. We don't want the families to be under a big financial burden just because they're accepting us and sort of having this sharing this wonderful opportunity with us. If you lose your IC card, that was the card that I said that you'll beep in and out of the trains with. If you lose that, there's going to be a $5 fee to get a new card. Not a big deal, but please be aware, we want you to keep those things safe. We use them year over year. And any other sort of kind of personal expenses, if you want to mail stuff while you're here, buy souvenirs, excess baggage fees, like I mentioned earlier, if any kind of medical thing comes up while you're there, if you need to just buy some medicine at the pharmacy, that's all going to be your responsibility to pay for. We recommend that you bring about 400 to 600 US dollars to cover all of these things. It's going to depend on how much you want to buy, how much you want to actually use on souvenirs and stuff like that. So it's a little bit hard to say exactly if that amount's going to be quite right. The dollar is pretty strong against the yen right now, so that works in our favor. But $400, $600 should be sufficient for everything that I'm talking about here. I recommend that you bring, if you want to bring cash, I recommend that you exchange your US dollars for Japanese yen before you even join the tour. Find a good location in your town, find a place that'll give you a good rate, and do it before you even leave. You might need to do a little bit of Googling to make sure that you found a good location to do it. But yeah, I recommend that you bring it there. If you go to the airport, A, we don't have enough time to get everybody, stop by the window and exchange their cash. But B, it's going to be a worse rate anyway. So just try to schedule some time before the trip to get that cash taken care of, to get the Japanese yen. The other option is bring an ATM or debit card that you have confirmed with your bank will work in Japan. And then you can sort of pull money out at the bank once you arrive. 7-Eleven, actually, it's actually called 7&I Holdings because they're kind of a bank. They've got their ATMs. They're a pretty good location for that kind of thing. They're good for international bank cards. So that's probably going to be an option. But again, we don't really have a lot of time for people to do that all, on the first day, line up outside of the 7-Eleven. So I would recommend that you bring some Japanese yen with you, even if you plan to pull some extra out with the bank card. So if you do plan to use a bank card, I do also recommend that you check with the bank, make sure that they know you're going to be traveling to Japan, because they might flag you. They might notice that the card is being used in a location that they're not used to, and they might not let the transaction go through. So just let them know that you're traveling. Other notes about communication. So Laurasian staff will be close by at the hotels, and we'll also be visiting some of the host schools, and they're taking pictures and sort of having fun with you during the homestay portion. Lead teachers will be in touch with us the whole time, so they'll always have direct contact with us. Students will have a little lanyard that's got contact information. It'll have like the address of the hotels where we're going to be. So just in case they get lost, some kind of emergency, all this sort of really important information and contact info will be on that lanyard that everybody has. And the lead teachers will have pocket Wi-Fi. We're going to provide these little Wi-Fi things for the lead teachers to have during the tours, so that they can always be in touch with us, even if they don't have a SIM card or something like that. The hotel in Kyoto will have free Wi-Fi, so there's that. For families here in the United States, there is a 24/7 emergency number for if something comes up, you really absolutely have to talk to us or figure out something that's going on in Japan. And it is this number right here, 1-888-310-4164. Call that 24 hours a day, and a Laurasian staff member can talk to you and figure out what's going on. But I know this is the age where everybody's talking on, FaceTime or video chat or that kind of thing pretty regularly. We ask families, we ask parents here in the United States, let your students, let your little babies go enjoy the tour. Sorry, students, I called you babies. I'm sure you hated that. But you need to let them go and experience this, because this is definitely going to be an opportunity for immersion into Japanese culture and language. And if they've got one foot firmly planted in their hometown while they're on the tour, then they might not really fully give into that experience. And 2 weeks is pretty short anyway, so we really want to try to provide as much immersion as we possibly can during that time. We're not saying that you can't contact them. We're not saying that you shouldn't contact them, but I'm saying keep it limited. I'd say keep it limited. I think emails are nice. Hey mom, I saw this today. It was really exciting and really interesting. I can't wait to show you pictures. Send some pictures. But maybe if you're doing a video chat every night, that might be a little bit much. So I'd recommend let them spend that time with the host family. Let them spend that time experiencing Japan. But the other way that you as families, as parents, can enjoy the tour while you're back in the United States is follow us on social media. We'll be posting pictures. We'll be uploading all sorts of fun, cool experiences and pictures that the students are going through to our social media accounts during the tour. You can follow us and keep an eye out for the photos. You'll see probably some of the students in the photos, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Maybe less on on YouTube, but certainly Facebook and Instagram will have regular updates with photos, and you can see what they're up to basically every day. We hope to be updating that regularly. And outside of the tour, we post fun Japan related content on those accounts anyway, so fun to follow anyway. Please keep an eye out for that. A couple of final important notes for the lead teachers and chaperones, and this is kind of an important thing. As I mentioned earlier, we will provide pocket Wi-Fi to each lead teacher and chaperone. It's going to be limited usage, so that means you can't just use that to watch Netflix or something like that, but it should totally cover all the other sort of standard communication with us. You'll probably be on, Google Maps, that kind of thing quite a bit during the tour. It should have no problem to cover all of that. Lead teachers, we also recommend, or rather we would ask you to please download Line, if you don't already have it, the application for communication. It's basically like a text message application like WhatsApp. If you are working in the Japan space, you probably know Line, so I may be explaining it when we don't need to explain it. But we do ask the lead teachers to make sure that you have Line on your phone and share your Line account with the NPJ staff so that we know how to get in touch with you during the tour. We need to have that by the end of May, just to make sure we've got it for every tour group before they get going. We also ask the lead teachers to collect those copies of the insurance policy forms, or rather the insurance information, so cards will be sufficient as well. And we ask the teachers to have a copy of that, whether it's just the data that you've got on your computer, that's fine. But that's something that we would like to tell the schools, that not only do the students have information about the insurance policies if they need to go to a hospital, but that the teachers also have a backup copy just in case. Again, this is for the school's sort of well-being and their peace of mind on that. So we ask you to collect those from all of your students. Finally, we would ask you to bring a non-contact thermometer, the kinds that you click the button, just like you can see on the little clip art there. We are going to be doing temperature checks every morning, just so that if somebody starts to feel a little bit sick, we can figure it out early on and figure out what we need to do. So we'll do quick temperature checks in the mornings while we're at the hotels and just kind of make sure everybody's feeling okay. And that is one for each group. So not each school. The schools with the larger groups that are divided into multiple groups, you know who you are. Please make sure you have a thermometer for each chaperone who's going to be in charge of a group, so that they can do that with their groups on each day, even when you separate. If lead teachers have any questions about those items, please contact us directly. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions or help you out with any of that. But for the most part, that just about wraps it up. I think those are the important things that we wanted to share with you right now. But I'm sure there's going to be additional information, so please keep an eye out on the NPJ portal. There's the main section there with announcements. Keep an eye out for that. If there's any additional sort of major updates or changes, we'll definitely let everybody know, probably through the lead teachers. So parents, I recommend you be in contact with the lead teachers and make sure that you know the latest from them as far as what's going on, or what if you need to take care of anything else before the tour. But as for the sort of important stuff to know about packing, gifts, how hot it's going to be, which I talked about quite a bit, any of that kind of stuff, I think we've covered it. I think we got it down. These are the main questions that we get. I'm sure there's stuff that you want to know that I didn't mention in here, so I understand. Please feel free to email npj@npjapan.org, and we are happy to answer any of your questions. So that's it. I can't believe it. We're all going to Japan soon, and man, it's going to be an experience of a lifetime. I did a Japan trip when I was about 14 years old, and it was such an impactful experience, life-changing for me, that I'm here today. I'm in Japan now because it was such a good experience. I cannot tell you how much this is going to be a life-changing opportunity for everybody who gets to join. Please, please, please keep in mind that the most important thing that I can tell you now is to have fun. I know you're thinking about, oh, I need to do this, or I got to get that COVID test, or I got to do that. But yeah, we've got to make sure we've got all those things taken care of. But the most important thing is just to be open to the fun, exciting experience that this is going to be. I'm jealous of the students that are getting to experience this for the first time, because it's such a fun thing. So I hope you know how lucky you are. I hope you know how precious this experience is going to be. I could talk forever and ever about that, but I will go ahead and bring this video to a close. So thank you very much for sharing some time with me to watch this. And Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you here in Japan very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much.